Chapter 2997. His whole body was blood red, as if a person had been skinned, leaving only bloody flesh and bones. However, his face did not have the facial features of an ordinary person. Instead, there were only a dozen pairs of eyes that overlapped each other and a huge mouth that almost split his entire face apart. What is that thing? Is it a poltergeist ghost? I've never seen such a poltergeist ghost. Jing Yuan's face was solemn. Suddenly, as if remembering something, he quickly took out a jade archive from his bosom. Pouring his divine sense into it, Jing Yuan couldn't help but cry out, "Rank 6 poltergeist ghost. How is this possible? Even in a millennium catastrophe, only rank 5 poltergeist ghosts would appear. How could it be this time? How could a rank 6 poltergeist ghost appear? No wonder even Emperor Mingju and Jun Shirtian couldn't mend the heavens. No wonder they were so heavily injured. From time to time, people would be swept up by the energy storm, thrown into the poltergeist ghosts and devoured. The 2 huge rank 4 poltergeist ghosts were still launching fierce attacks at him. Even with Jing Yuan's strong mind, he couldn't help but feel despair. In this world, no one could be a match for a rank 6 poltergeist ghost. Is the Shushan continent really finished? Miss, be careful. Because Jing Yuan's mind was distracted, he couldn't completely pin down the 2 rank 4 poltergeist ghosts. One of them unexpectedly ran to the people of Linglong Island at some point. Yu Yanran's cultivation was the highest, and her physique was pure. She became the poltergeist ghost's first prey. But because she was only paying attention to Di Mingju in the sky, she didn't notice. Huang Shouchuan rushed over and pressed her to the ground. But the rank 4 poltergeist ghost's movements were extremely fast. Its second palm immediately slapped down with a huge suction force, leaving them with nowhere to hide. Seeing the sharp fangs so close, Yu Yanran's eyes widened in horror, scared out of her wits. Huang Shouchuan was also scared out of his wits, but when he felt Yu Yanran's trembling body, he felt pity for her and calmed down. He shouted, "What are you waiting for? Protect the miss. Even if you have to sacrifice your life, protect the miss." When the 12 exquisite guards heard this, some hesitated in fear, while others gritted their teeth and charged forward to attack the poltergeist ghosts. But in his eyes, there was only the even more delicious Yu Yanran. He pushed her aside and continued pouncing towards them. A ruthless glint flashed in Huang Shouchuan's eyes. He raised his hand, grabbed 2 exquisite guards, and stuffed them into the mouths of the poltergeist ghosts. "Ah!" The shrill cries caused Yu Yanran's face to turn pale. "Brother Huang, how could you?" Huang Shouchuan said calmly, "The duty of the 12 exquisite guards is to protect you with their lives. These people cowered in the face of danger, and their deaths are not to be regretted. The Linglong guards can still be nurtured, but if you die, Linglong Island will be finished." As he spoke, he sneered as he looked at the other exquisite dragon guards who were trying to escape in fear. He grabbed them and made them his scapegoats. Yu Yanran's lips trembled. Thinking of the fangs that were just inches away from her, she did not speak. In her heart, however, she was thinking that if it wasn't for the emperor, she wouldn't have risked her life in such a dirty place. But the emperor had abandoned her sincerity like a pair of worn-out shoes, letting down her years of protection and waiting. Thinking of this, Yu Yanran felt miserable. It was as if all the grievances and sorrows in the world were concentrated on her. Hence, she no longer cared about what Huang Shouchuan did. Chapter 2998. The poltergeist ghosts did not reject any food that was sent into their mouths, and they needed some time to swallow and chew. This period of time was very short, but it gave Huang Shouchuan and Yu Yanran a chance of survival. Because the blood-red nightmare that poked its head out of the vortex jumped down from the sky. Mingju and Jun Shirtian's movements are extremely fast. The moment the Class 6 poltergeist jumped down, it transformed into a sword light and charged forward. Cluck, 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 the strange voice of the nightmare ghost reverberated through the world. It sounded like a mocking laugh, but also like a mournful cry. 3 figures intertwined. Then, he smashed into the ground like a meteor. The earth fell into a moment of silence. Dust and smoke rose into the air. After the dust settled, 3 figures slowly appeared. The Class 6 poltergeist stuck out its long tongue and licked the wound on its chest. Countless eyes turned to look at Mingju, then look at Jun Shirtian. There was a hint of fear in his eyes. And in front of him, Mingju has another wound on his body. The claw mark on his left leg was so deep that the bone could be seen. But on the ring finger of his left hand, the ring had been flashing with fluorescent light without a moment of interruption. "Oh no!" Elder Chang exclaimed. "His Majesty can't hold on much longer." Only they know that Mingju is currently consuming an enormous amount of spiritual essence. His strength was not at its peak at all. He had entered the crevice twice and was injured twice. How could his body endure it? Elder Chang rushed to Defeating Armies' side and took Xiaobao from his arms. Defeating Armies, quick, go and help the Lord. Defeating Armies nodded. He unsheathed his long saber and sped away. At the same time, Minwei also rushed forward to help Jun Shirtian. However, the rank 6 poltergeist seemed to have noticed something. It grinned, revealing a row of sharp teeth, and let out a strange laugh. Giggle. Goo. Giggle. Those densely packed pairs of eyes rolled around at the same time, causing one's scalp to go numb. After the laughter, the 2 giant devouring ghosts that were fighting with Jing Yuan seemed to have received a command, and suddenly charged towards it. Bang! 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 Every step he took was like a boulder smashing into the ground, smashing into everyone's hearts that were on the verge of collapse. When they reached the rank 6 poltergeist, they suddenly stopped. Then, everyone saw a scene that left them in disbelief. The 2 Type 4 poltergeist stood obediently in front of the Type 6 poltergeist, allowing it to devour them. The difference in size between the 2 was dozens of times. But in the blink of an eye, the 2 mountains were completely devoured by it. The wound on the rank 6 poltergeist's chest was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hee hee, hee hee, hee hee. It raised its head and took a deep breath, revealing a carefree expression, as if it was enjoying the feeling of energy filling its body. Seeing that Mingju, Jun Shirtian, Pajun and Min Wei are attacking him together, the ghost grinned disdainfully. The 2 eyes in the middle of his forehead suddenly flashed and closed. Then, 2 poltergeist ghosts that looked almost identical to him appeared on both sides. His body was also scarlet red, as if he had been skinned. The only difference was that there was only 1 eye on the face and a long, gaping mouth. Receiving the command, the 2 one-eyed poltergeist immediately rushed towards Mingju and Jun Shirtian. What made people alarmed is that the strength of these 2 one-eyed poltergeist is actually comparable to the rank 6 poltergeist ghost. Chapter 2999. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. For a moment, 4 people and 2 ghosts stand together. And the strongest rank 6 poltergeist, no one can resist it anymore. The overlapping eyes slowly turn, and finally fall on Mingju's body. It still remembers that it was this person's sword that pierced its chest just now. It feels a pain it hasn't tasted for a long time. This person's body still has an incomparably wonderful smell. Wait until it devours this person. Its cultivation will be greatly improved. Perhaps it can advance to the rank 7. No. Wait. The rank 6 poltergeist seems to have suddenly sensed something. Those pairs of eyes turn and finally fall on Xiao Bao, who is being held by Elder Chang. No. Don't rush to eat the big one. There's an even more delicious one here. Swish. The rank 6 poltergeist suddenly swoops down, its figure shooting out like a spark. Elder Chang was originally holding Xiao Bao, looking worriedly at Di Mingju. Suddenly, he feels his vision blur. Then, a numbing chill runs up from the back of his neck. A sticky, stinky tongue is sticking to Elder Chang's neck, slowly stretching towards Xiao Bao in his arms. He hears a cough sound, as if it stuck in his throat. Elder Chang stiffly turns his head. Suddenly, he comes face to face with the densely packed eyes that are very close. For a moment, his soul is almost scared out of his body. But in a flash, he thinks of something. The poltergeist wants Xiao Bao. This beast wants to eat their polar domain's little master. Elder Chang only feels a buzz in his head. Without thinking, he reaches out and grabs that long tongue. At the same time, he throws Xiao Bao in his arms in the direction of the Yingmei. Ah! A painful moan comes from Elder Chang's mouth. The hand that is holding the poltergeist's tongue makes a sizzling sound of flesh being scorched. In just a moment, there's not a bit of skin and flesh left, revealing the charred bones. The poltergeist moves its tongue, and shakes off Elder Chang. Its figure flashes, and it rushes towards the Yingmei. The Yingmei had already wanted to dodge when Elder Chang threw Xiao Bao over. But the poltergeist's movements are too fast. In just a flash, that blood-red monster is already in front of her. Countless pairs of eyes darted around. The slender mouth slowly split open, and a scarlet tongue suddenly stretched out towards Xiao Bao. Yingmei didn't even think before turning around. Puchi! The scarlet tongue pierced through the shadow demon's back, making a sizzling sound again. Xiao Bao raised his head in a daze. He felt droplets of viscous, scalding liquid dripping onto his face. It was so painful that he couldn't help but tear up. Sister Yingmei, shadow demon. Han Yi is simply going crazy. He wanted to rush over to save Yingmei and Xiao Bao, but he was surrounded by hundreds of poltergeist ghosts. Yingmei felt a burning pain all over her body, and her consciousness became blurry. In her ears, Xiao Bao's calls and Han Ye's howls are getting further and further away. But in her mind, there was a thought that was getting clearer and clearer. No matter what, I can't let anything happen to Little Master, even if she dies. Yingmei didn't know where the strength came from, but when the poltergeist was about to pull its tongue away, she grabbed the tongue and pressed it to the ground, then raised the sword in her hand and stabbed it down. Roar! The poltergeist's pained and angry roar is accompanied by the sizzling sound of flesh being scorched. Yingmei lifts her head up and shouts, "Run, little master! Quickly run!" The poltergeist ghost is finally thoroughly enraged by Yingmei. The scarlet tongue suddenly lengthens, and ruthlessly coils around Yingmei, swinging her up into the air. The sound of bones breaking can be heard, accompanied by the sound of flesh and blood being scorched. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3000. 1 second. Remember Love Net, providing you with exciting reading. Fresh blood rained down from the sky. Xiao Bao's pupils contracted violently. His small body trembled uncontrollably. He didn't run away as Yingmei had hoped. Instead, he took out his Bixia sword. Hum. The sword let out an ear-piercing hum. Xiao Bao held the sword that was almost as tall as him and spat out a single word, "Kill." The usually cowardly and talkative Bixia didn't make a sound this time. As soon as Xiao Bao gave the order, it shot out like a bolt of lightning. The poltergeist's tongue curled up as if it was going to swallow the dying Ying Mei into its stomach. However, when the evil warding sword whistled towards his head, a sinister glint flashed in his densely packed eyes, as if his scheme had succeeded. Whoosh! A second tongue shot out from the poltergeist's mouth and flew towards Xiao Bao, wrapping around him. Young master! Elder Chang looked up at this scene, his eyes almost popping out of his sockets. He knew how terrifying that tongue was. Whether it was the talisman-patterned robe or the skin that came into contact with it, they would all be burned. Young master was still so young, how could he withstand that kind of damage? However, the expected burning sound didn't come. To Elder Chang's shock, he discovered that there was a faint glow around Xiao Bao. It formed a barrier that protected him. The sixth-rank poltergeist's almost invincible tongue couldn't penetrate this barrier. The Bixia sword left Xiao Bao's hand and floated in the air. That light, that barrier, was coming from the sword. In a trance, Elder Chang saw a blurry face and strangely dressed short-haired youth standing next to the Bixia sword. Prosperity, democracy, civility, harmony. I'm a good youth raised by the core values of socialism. Why would I be afraid of you feudal evils? As long as my soul is still here, if you hurt my young master, I'll admit defeat. The poltergeist let out a low roar. Its densely packed eyes were filled with shock and bewilderment. There seemed to be a hint of fear mixed in. However, its intelligence was limited. The fear that was rooted in its soul only flashed for a moment before it was thrown to the back of its mind. The blood-red figure flashed and appeared in front of Xiao Bao in the blink of an eye. Boom! With a light punch, the protective barrier that enveloped Xiao Bao dimmed a little. A pained expression appeared on Bai Xia's face. Xiao Bao's pupils shrunk, he shouted, "Bai Xia, come back!" Boom! With the second punch, the indestructible Bixia sword began to emit cracking sounds as fine cracks began to spread. Xiao Bao suddenly raised his voice. Bixia! As your master, I order you to return. He frantically mobilized his divine sense, trying to retrieve the evil warding sword into his body. But the young man who was getting more and more disorientated gritted his teeth and grinned hideously. Little master, this is the first time I, Bai Xia, disobeyed your orders. Don't ever forget this historic moment. Tortoise son of a bitch, skin-flaying ghost. If it weren't for the fact that I've gathered less than 1% of my energy, do you think you could be so arrogant in front of me? Go ahead and smash. Continue to smash. If I take a step back, I'm not a man. Boom! With the third punch, the light on the Bixia sword dimmed, and the young man's roaring figure slowly disappeared. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 3001. Countless cracks appeared on the body of the sword. It was as if it would shatter at the slightest touch. Tears gushed out of Xiao Bao's eyes. His small hand trembled as he held the dim Bai Xia sword in his hand. He opened his mouth but no sound came out. Bixia. Was it gone forever? No. He didn't want it. 6th level. Release the Qi Fei Chui Qi Qi Chui Song Mirage Sword. Glutinous rice quenching the palpitations. Chanting Shuo Xiong Tuo Jia Air finally, there were no more obstacles in front of it. It could enjoy its delicious food. Its scarlet tongue darted out toward Xiao Bao. With tears in his eyes, Xiao Bao stubbornly stood where he was and didn't retreat. Young master, run! Elder Chang shouted at the top of his lungs. But Xiao Bao didn't retreat. He thought, if I didn't run, if I didn't let others protect me, then Bixia wouldn't have disappeared. Then Ying Mei and Elder Chang wouldn't have been hurt. He didn't want to see anyone sacrifice themselves for him anymore. Swish! The sword light whistled down. The tongue that was about to touch Xiaobao was cut into two by the sword light. No one knew when, but the tall figure had teleported in front of Xiaobao, shielding his small figure behind him. Just like every time, it shielded him from the wind and rain. Father, but this time, he hoped that his father wouldn't come to save him. His father was already so badly injured that his clothes were dyed red with blood. Why did he still rush over to save him at all costs? He wasn't his father's biological son. Roar! 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 Release the Gang 3 Chui. Jin's densely packed eyes were dyed red as they stared at the man in front of them. The second time. This was the second time this human had heard it. Damn it. It wouldn't allow this human to live for another moment. On the blood-red head, one eye closed, then two eyes, then 3, 4, 5, 6. Every time it closed an eye, 6 levels. Release the Gang 4 Sodium. Release the Gang 4 Chuebut in Xiaobao and Di Ming. But around him, one eye after another began to appear. Release the Gang 4 8 stinking tongues shot out like arrows. Di Ming. He waved the sword in his hand and cut off 4 of them. However, 2 of the scarlet tongues flew towards Xiaobao. Di Ming. His figure flashed, and he pulled Xiaobao into his arms. In an instant, 2 scorching hot red tongues pierced through his chest. Daddy! Xiaobao couldn't hold it in any longer. No! Daddy, don't die. I don't want you to die. His divine power had long been exhausted, and he did not know how much blood had flowed out of his wounds. Di Ming. He could feel his body getting colder and colder. All the life force drained from his body bit by bit. He hugged Xiaobao tightly and smiled bitterly. He had thought that he would die on the battlefield. But he never thought that before he died, he wouldn't even be able to see Mayan one last time. Dong! 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 All of a sudden, the deep and vigorous sound of a bell came from the sky. Every strike was slow, unhurried, and long. Yet, one strike after another, it smashed into the depths of one's soul, killing them. Exuding infinite wood radiance seeing his leg. Wuefei. Feng Bei's nipple Wei wink. Clam female glue pain recognizes palm shepherd Qingxi. Frozen Bao Na's Tenon Gong Shi. Chui Hang. RQ Yen Ran, who had been wallowing in self-pity, shuddered. She looked up in disbelief. Chapter 3002. Mu Liuyun's feminine smile froze on his face. He suddenly leaped onto a hill, staring at the sky, his face suddenly sinister, suddenly treacherous. All of them. Vent. Straw on you. Baldy Mengliang. Stir up the rough Garui. Run to Wei Jiyu. Elder Chang stood up shakily from the ground, murmuring, "Did I hear wrong? That's the spirit bell." The spirit bell rings without any wind, only when a Shin musician advances to the next level. But it has only been a year since the last time the spirit bell rang. How could it be? How could it ring a third time? This thought just flashed through his mind. A bright light sprang up from the land of the extreme north, straight into the sky, and suddenly exploded in the air. The Shushin continent, which was originally night, suddenly became as bright as day. Under the dazzling light on the continent. Tu Luo Ai. By Luo Ai. Hui Ai. Curtain ripping framed the sudden ringing of the bell, and the bright light seemed to have paused everything. Whether it was a person. Vent. Follow. Wuefei. Ma Lian Jiang Wei Zhanxi. There, a huge silver moon slowly rose. 9 bright stars, revolving around the silver moon, slowly rotating, the stars and the moon connected. 9 stars and moon, it has appeared again, 9 stars and moon. Between heaven and earth, there was a faint melodious sound of a zither reverberating. As if there was a pair of gentle hands, gently caressing every devastated soul. The pitter-patter of rain fell from the sky. Jun Shirtian stretched out his hand to catch the dripping rain. As the rain seeped into his body, the magic nucleus in his body began to rotate at high speed, gradually replenishing the magic source that was originally consumed. But Jun Shirtian did not seem to care about his body at all. He slightly tilted his head, listening to the sound of the zither floating in his ears, his eyes revealing a trace of doubt. This zither sound seemed somewhat familiar. Where had he heard it before? Xiao Bao blankly raised his head, letting the white rain wet his little face. Under the washing of the rain, the small wounds on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The evil sword in his hand, which had lost its light, once again emitted a buzzing sound. The cracks on the body of the sword emitted a faint glow after being soaked by the rain, and actually began to gradually disappear. On the ground, Elder Chang's hand that was only left with charred bones had regrown. Ingmei also slowly opens her eyes in Han Ye's embrace, and is tightly embraced by Han Ye. Xiao Bao looked at Di Ming in front of him. The huge bloody hole in his chest was rapidly healing. The mellow energy surrounded him, and strands of it drilled into his body. Daddy won't die. Bai Xia will not disappear, no one will die. Because someone was watching over him, protecting him. Even if they were separated by mountains and rivers, even if they were in 2 different worlds, this had never changed. Suddenly, she could no longer hold back the tears that she had been holding back for a long time, and they overflowed from her eyes. It's Mother. Xiao Bao threw himself at Di Ming. In his arms, he burst into tears. Father, it was Mother who saved us, wasn't it? Di Ming. He stared blankly at the void spirit ring in his hand. As the drizzle fell and surrounded Xiao Qin, countless divine energy poured into his body. His wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. His strength was rapidly recovering. Di Ming. As he watched, he couldn't help but chuckle softly. Helpless, doting, and sweet. Jun Mayan was Jun Mayan. She was never a weak daughter flower that needed people to protect her. She could break through all the difficulties in the world, and could even protect him in turn. Chapter 3003. Di Mingju takes Xiao Bao into his arms and whispers, "Yes, it was your mother who saved Daddy and Xiao Bao." Below, someone suddenly let out a cry of surprise, my injury is healed. My broken hand has grown back. Did the heavens pity us and give us a way to live? Did you see that? The poltergeist ghosts can't move. Quick, kill them. We are saved, the humans of the 3 realms are saved. Above the hidden abyss, both spirit cultivators and devil cultivators seem to have gone mad, crying and laughing, their hands constantly harvesting the poltergeist ghosts' lives. Mu Luyun looks at this scene, his eyes are sinister and his face is distorted. Suddenly, he grits his teeth, takes out another porcelain bottle from his bosom, and carefully pours a drop down. Roar! The frozen rank 6 poltergeist ghost suddenly seems to come alive, letting out a roar. The 8 eyes that were originally closed open again, and the one-eyed poltergeist ghosts all disappear, merging into one with it. The poltergeist ghost roars again, suddenly leaps up, and rushes towards the whirlpool in the sky. Not good. Jing Yuan suddenly comes back to his senses, shouting, it wants to completely destroy the heavenly pillar. Di Mingju sneers and looks down at Xiao Bao, can you protect yourself? Xiao Bao heavily nods. Without waiting for Di Mingju to say anything, he leaves his embrace and returns to defeating armies. After confirming that Xiao Bao is not in any danger, Ming Ju's figure flashes, and like an arrow released from a bow, he rushes towards the crack. Jun Shutian also soars into the sky, disappearing into the horizon. Mu Luyun looks up at the sky, his face grim. I don't believe that you can survive this time, I don't believe it. The heavenly pillar will collapse, the Shushan continent will sink, the three realms will be destroyed, none of you will survive, none of you will escape, ha ha ha. However, the next moment, Mu Luyun's laughter comes to an abrupt end. Above the silver moon in the sky, a giant blood-red sun was slowly rising. It appears by the side of the silver moon. One sun and one moon, one red and one white. 9 shining stars revolve around it. All the lights merge and converge in the sky, finally turning into a multicolored glow that shines down. Chi chi chi. On the ground, no matter where they were on the continent, all the poltergeist ghosts let out mournful wails. It began to evaporate and dissipate. Above the hidden abyss, everyone stopped fighting. They stared blankly at the magnificent scene in the sky, almost forgetting to breathe. After a long, long time, someone finally let out a soft sigh. The glorious sun swallows the heavens, 9 stars link to the moon, frigid wall crimson crow, flowing light 10,000 miles. Heavens, what did we just witness? Rewind time to half an hour ago. Nether realm, water prison. Sensing a familiar aura approaching her, Luo Yunxiao slowly opened her eyes. Master. The half-kneeling man slowly stretched out his hand and helped him up from the ground. He said softly, "Don't speak and don't circulate your divine power. Your primordial spirit has collapsed. Master will take you away from here first." When his palm touched Luo Yunxiao's back, he felt a cold and wet sensation. The man retracted his hand and frowned when he saw his palm covered in blood. Luo Yunxiao weakly said, "Qi's kiss, don't worry. Master has already brought Qiwen back to Xingyuan Dock." Only then did Luo Yunxiao shut up. In fact, he no longer had the strength to speak. As soon as the man took Luo Yunxiao to the door of the water prison, they were stopped. Chapter 3004. Yin Wuji said with a dark face, "Spiritual Master Xing Yuan, you trespassed into the nether region and took someone away from my prison of water. What is the meaning of this?" Xing Yuan said lightly, "My disciple has been abused by you. Why can't I take him away?" Yin Wuji said hatefully, "Xing Yuan, don't go too far. He is also my son. How I want to deal with him is my freedom. Back then, you used the greater good of the world as an excuse to interfere. I already did not bother with you. Do you still want to take matters into your own hands and protect this evil creature? Who do you think you are?" Luo Yunxiao's long eyelashes trembled. His face was as cold as frost, but he did not open his eyes. He said hoarsely, "Master, don't worry about me." But before he finished speaking, Xing Yuan's hand on his back injected a thread of power. Luo Yunxiao felt his mind waver and he slowly lost his senses. After confirming that Luo Yunxiao could no longer hear their conversation, he looked at Yin Wuji. Xing Yuan's expression grew colder inch by inch, his eyes as dark as ice. "Yin Wuji, do you know what you have done? What kind of calamity have you brought to the Shushan continent?" Yin Wuji said angrily, "What did I do? I only punished a disobedient and unfilial son. Is it your turn to ask?" Xing Yuan thought of the sky full of cracks in the boundary, the rampaging ghosts, and the wailing corpses. He wanted to tear Yin Wuji apart. But in the end, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. He regained his calmness and said, "Yunxiao does not know anything. He is the most dangerous, but also the most innocent. Back then, when I sent Yunxiao back to the Netherworld region, I told you not to attempt to step on his bottom line, and not to force him into a hopeless situation. Otherwise, there will come a day when you will pay a painful price for your actions. Wuji's expression was even colder and more resentful. His voice suddenly rose, carrying with it the madness and fear of a ruler of a region. Lu Xingyuan. I said long ago that this bastard cannot be allowed to live. It was you who insisted on protecting him. Since he will die sooner or later, why don't you let me kill him now? Do you know what Yushu and I think about every moment we look at this evil creature? I want to use 100 ways to kill him, destroy his soul, and consign him to eternal damnation. I want him to never be able to threaten the life and death of my nether realm again. Neither of them noticed. Luo Yunxiao, who was supposed to be unconscious, moved her finger slightly. Xing Yuan closed his eyes and said, Domain Lord Yin, I'll take her away. I hope you'll behave yourself in the future. After saying that, the two of them disappeared on the spot. Wuji was left standing where he was, his face contorted as he viciously smashed the stone tablet in front of the aqua prison. After leaving the nether domain, Xing Yuan supported the unconscious Luo Yunxiao and looked up at the sky. At this time, more and more cracks appeared in the sky. Countless ghouls fell from the crack, about to take countless innocent lives. Xing Yuan stared for a long time before lowering his head to look at his disciple. He let out a long sigh. Time, fate. Perhaps this is your destiny, and also the destiny of the Shushan continent. The mournful cries of a child could be heard from below. Xing Yuan furrowed his brow, put down Luo Yunxiao, and flew forward. In the dark bloody night, there was no moon, no stars, no light. There was only a trace of scarlet on Luo Yunxiao's incomparably handsome face. Her long eyelashes trembled and she slowly opened her eyes. Chapter 3005. That pair of eyes that used to shine brighter than the stars were now as dim as ashes. The corners of his chapped lips curled up into a faint smile. Her brows were as clear as snow, and her beauty was unparalleled. However, her smile was filled with despair and heartbreak. He was hated by his parents, disliked by the world, like a monster, walking alone, alone. But he clearly did not do anything, but he had to bear the deepest darkness in the world. He did not even know what he was. Was he a human, a monster, a demon, or a monster that did not blend in with the world? Luo Yunxiao closed his eyes, his throat emitting a low, hoarse, and desolate laughter like that of a trapped beast. But in a daze, he seemed to hear a distant and tearing voice roaring in his ears. If you and I are of the same mind, then lend your power to me temporarily. I do not want to destroy the world, do not want to take revenge on humans, I don't want anything, I just want to protect this woman in front of me. Protect this woman. Which woman? Luo Yunxiao opened his eyes in a daze. A blurry figure appeared in front of him. His primordial spirit collapsed, blood stained his long dress, as though he would disappear from the world at any time. But Luo Yunxiao saw a glimmer of light in this blurry figure. The only light he sincerely believed in his life, the light he longed to protect. His cracked lips slowly opened and closed, as though he was swearing, or as though he was sad to let go of the rest of his life. Okay, I lend you, as long as you can protect her. Then at least, his dirty and rotten life still had a shred of value. Then at least, he would have no regrets being abandoned by the world. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In his sea of consciousness, the 11 natal swords trembled violently, as though responding to something. The energy in his body flowed out like a fountain, dissipating, and taking away his weak vitality bit by bit. Luo Yunxiao slowly closed his eyes. Dong! 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 It was at this moment that the bell tolled. The huge silver moon rose into the night sky, the 9 stars shining brightly. White raindrops fell from the sky, wetting his skin, seeping into his bones and blood, and slowly seeping into his soul. Luo Yunxiao opened his eyes in a daze, looking at the bright moon in the sky. The burn wound on his back gradually healed. The pain in his body disappeared without a trace. The life force that he had lost had returned to his body at some point in time, giving him hope and conviction to continue living. The melodious music gently rang in his ears, like the clear voice of a young girl ringing over and over again. No, it wasn't just one voice. There were many other voices. Junior Martial Uncle, your body is your own. Even if no one else cared, you had to care. Because if you take yourself seriously and abandon your 7 emotions and 6 desires, then no one in this world will truly care about you. May we live forever in this life and night, free and unfettered forever. Little Martial Uncle, what is your true identity? Do you have any powerful enemies? What kind of past did he have? We don't care about that. All we know is that you are our junior uncle, and a member of the Carefree sect. We want to announce to the whole world that you are a member of the Xiaoyao sect, the youngest martial uncle of the Xiaoyao 7. Luo Yunxiao suddenly closed his eyes. The raindrops fell on his face and slid down the corner of his mouth. Chapter 3006. But for some reason, for the first time, the rain felt scorching hot. His lips curled up again. But this time, his smile was no longer one of despair, but one of humble appreciation and tenderness. Yes, he was not alone in this world. He was not abandoned by the world. Because he still had the Xiaoyao sect. He still had the Xiaoyao sect. Luo Yunxiao slowed down his breathing and allowed his consciousness to fall asleep. He didn't see the rising sun and silver moon rise together and shine on the earth. He also didn't see the cracks in the barrier in the sky slowly disappear without anyone repairing them. The silver moon and the rising sun slowly set in the west. Raging. Exuberant. Sulfur. Peeling off the gauze. Looking. Gathering. Unforgiving. People didn't know where this disaster came from. They also didn't know where the 9 stars and moon that saved the world came from. But tens of thousands of living beings finally welcomed their turning point and a new life. This hellish month was remembered by all humans on the Shushan continent. History called it the falling sky disaster. And at almost the same time, on the other continent across the space barrier, the final battle that concerned their survival also came. The Shushan continent. At the peak of the Phoenix Sky mountain range. The silver moon hung in the sky, the 9 stars appeared, the sky rained, and the mountains recovered. Such a big movement alarmed the teachers and students of the Dragon Ascension Academy and the villagers of Yuanwu village who were cultivating in the chaotic tower. They all walked out of the tower. Looking at the huge silver moon in the sky and the 9 stars connected to it, they came back to their senses in shock. Lowering his head, he saw that the land, which should have been pitch black, had already been illuminated as bright as day. From the high peak of the Phoenix Sky mountain range, they could see the excited crowd running and shouting below. The melodious sound of a zither echoed in the starry sky. The pitter-patter of rain fell from the center of the silver moon, falling on the snow-covered mountain top, and on the soil and forest. The grass and trees everywhere began to grow rapidly, one wilting and one thriving. Dense spirit energy surged like a spring, covering the entire peak of the Phoenix Sky mountain range. What's going on? Everyone was baffled by this phenomenon. While they were confused, they suddenly heard a teacher and student of the Dragon Ascension Academy shout. My injuries are all healed. Damn, why do I feel that the bottleneck that I've been stuck in for a long time is loosening? It's the rain. This rain can help us heal and advance. This discovery made everyone wild with joy. They anxiously rushed into the chaotic tower and helped their injured comrades and teachers out, allowing them to bathe in the moonlight and drizzle. Kong Yuanzhou raised his head and looked at the huge silver moon in the sky. Feeling the internal injuries on his body gradually heal, he almost burst into tears. 9 stars linked to the moon, it's a moon's spiritual root that's hard to come by even in a million years. It's actually Miss June, the future mistress of the polar domain. This is really great, really great. Hearing this, even though he already had a guess in his heart, he didn't dare to say anything. Zhou Daoyi still revealed an expression of disbelief. Elder Kong, you mean to say, this 9 stars and moon was caused by Miss June? He paused for a moment, and his voice became a little more strained. If I remember correctly, the 9 stars connected to the moon does not only require a moon spirit root, but also requires the owner of the moon spirit root to have a major breakthrough, and activate the heaven and earth yuan qi. Only then can it happen. Chapter 3007. Kong Yuanzhou nodded. You're right. There'd be a problem if he wasn't fucking good. Zhou Daoyi was in a complete mess in the rain. The problem is, June Mayan was only a little girl at Gold Core stage a year ago. No. Wait a minute, June Mayan is only a little girl right now. More importantly, the people of the Xiaoyao sect had said that their junior sister had just advanced from the nascent soul stage to the leaving aperture stage in the northern continent of the Purple Cloud realm. Only a few days had passed, and he had broken through again. To be able to trigger a breakthrough in the 9 stars and moon, it was definitely not just a minor breakthrough. So, Mayan broke through from the leaving body stage to the crossing tribulation stage. The deans and mentors of Dragon Ascension who came to this conclusion were on the verge of tears. They were already so old and had been stuck in the leaving aperture stage for decades. All they wanted was to break through to the tribulation stage and fight for the opportunity to become an immortal. But looking at June Mayan, whether it was from Jin Dan to Yuanying, or from Yuanying to leaving body, it only took a few short months. The final step, which was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for everyone, from the astral projection to the tribulation transcendence, was actually achieved in just a few days. How could these old fellows, who had been busy for half their lives, endure this? Little junior sister advanced again. What a freak. That's insane. The 6 people of the Xiaoyao school landed on the peak of Phoenix Sky Mountain. They looked at the silver moon in the sky and sighed. Didn't third senior brother say it already? Little junior sister had absorbed too much energy. She would either advance or die. With little junior sister's strong willpower and talent, how could she die? So, isn't it normal to advance? Ha! This rain is a little strange. The spiritual power in my body is surging a little too fast. Luo Yu blinked. Why do I feel like I'm about to advance? Damn, how did I reach the peak of the original level in the blink of an eye? The 6 of them looked at each other with dreamy expressions. Junior sister is really capable. You want to bring us along when you want to level up? Hee, I knew that 6th senior sister's thigh is the easiest to hug. If you have the ability, go and hug it in front of Instructor Mo. Luo Yu shrank her neck. Do you think I'm stupid? Don't you know how petty and jealous Teacher Mo is? Later on, I'll lose my life before I can hug his thigh. Yun Ruhan said, all right, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and cultivate so that you can ascend as soon as possible. He looked in the direction of Divine Elephant City and said in a low voice, all of you should know what kind of difficult battle we have to face next. Do you still want to drag little junior sister down and let her fight alone? Yun Ruhan's words silenced the group of people who had been laughing. Luo Yu clenched her fists tightly. She didn't say anything and sat down cross-legged in the rain. Ling Yuma's hand was on the red lotus soul-stealing blade. She loosened her grip and tightened her grip. She laughed softly and sat down as well. The 5 people from the carefree sect completely ignored their surroundings and entered secluded meditation along with the surrounding crowd. Only Chu Moli was appreciating the bright moon in the night sky. He took out his easel with great interest and began to paint. His pen and paper were all specially made. Even in the rain, the paper would not be damaged, nor would the ink stains appear. Thus, Zhou Daoyi and the others watched as he splashed ink on the easel. Not long after, a strange scene appeared on the paper. It was a hellish sea of blood with skeletons floating in the air. Beside it was a steep slope. On the slope, countless people with distorted, hideous, or blurry faces were climbing up with all their might. Chapter 3008. The entire slope was a glaring crimson. Other than the figures climbing up, there were also many broken limbs and ghastly white bones. But the scene at the end of the slope was completely different from the one below, as if it was torn into 2 different worlds. There, the moon was bright and the stars were twinkling. The clear night sky was shining with the purest and most beautiful radiance in the world. The people who were climbing up the slope wanted to reach such a beautiful world. Kong Yuanzhou and Zhou Daoyi glanced at Chu Moli's painting. They felt their eyelids twitching, as if something had hit their chests hard. They couldn't even breathe. They didn't dare to look anymore. But in their hearts, they were amazed by Chu Moli, the silver-bow divine archer of the Xiaoyao sect. At this moment, someone cried out in alarm. "Look, Yun Ruhan advanced." Oh my god! He really advanced just like that. It's not just Mayan, the gods of the Xiaoyao sect are all fucking inhuman. As for Zhou Daoyi and the others, tears were streaming down their faces. It wasn't enough that there was only one monster in the world, but there were 6 here. What kind of weird sect was the Xiaoyao sect? Did they specialize in producing monsters? How could they let other people live like that? But after the depression, they couldn't help but become excited. The biggest headache right now should be the Demon Extermination Alliance, right? Hee, didn't you see the news in Tianguang ruins? That devil-slaying alliance was completely defeated by the godly cultivators of the Xiaoyao sect. They're in a sorry state. Before the unfettered 7 sons advanced, they were already beaten to a pulp. Once they advance, this demon-slaying alliance will just wait to collapse. What Demon Extermination Alliance? They're just a bunch of sanctimonious, shameless, and despicable people. They say that they want to kill the Xiaoyao 7 demons for the sake of the people, but in reality, they just want to steal the chaotic tower. Thinking of the soaring dragon sect that had been completely destroyed, everyone's expressions were filled with indescribable anger and despair. During this time, everyone hid in the chaotic tower and didn't leave. But they could still get some information about the continent through Tianguang ruins. They knew that the demon-slaying alliance had been established, and almost all of the clans and sects in the Purple Cloud realm had joined it. They also knew that the demon-slaying hall was established in the Divine Elephant City, the old site of the original soaring dragon. Stepping on their 1,000 years of glory, piling up their corpses, they marked them as the claws of the evil demons. They also knew that the Fiends Exterminating Alliance had spread the news of the unfettered 7 devils' crimes to the entire cultivation world, inverting right and wrong, and calling a deer a horse, swearing that they would never have a foothold on this continent again. As for the truth of the matter, these people who were rescued by Jun Mayan from the brink of life and death would naturally know. However, even if they clarified, would anyone be willing to believe the truth from their mouths? Does anyone care what the truth is? After all, this was a cultivation world where the strong preyed on the weak. The winner was king, and the loser was doomed. However, they only had so few people and so little battle prowess. If all of them were added together, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were a burden to the unfettered 7. How could they fight against such a powerful demon-slaying alliance? Even if the Xiaoyao 7 really advanced to the next round, would they have any hope of winning? The same thought flashed through everyone's mind. Pain, despair, but clear. They would still die in the end, wouldn't they? Carrying the infamy of demons, under the condemnation of thousands of people, the entire army was annihilated. Chapter 3009. It's not good. Elder Kong, Principal Zhou, it's not good. As if to verify their thoughts. A hurried and panicked voice comes from the foot of the mountain. Along with it, an earth-shattering shout comes into everyone's ears. The demon-slaying alliance is here, all of you come out and die. In the Tian Mo Qin space, Mu Yen wakes up from her meditation and lets out a long breath. Bang! Bang! 2 dumplings, one red and one yellow, rush into her arms one after the other. Their claws hook onto her clothes, and their beaks bite onto her belt, refusing to let go. Wow, beautiful sister, you scared us to death. Chirp chirp chirp. Chirp chirp chirp. G-G-G-A. Woof woof woof. The little chick is so anxious that it can't even express its meaning clearly. It makes all sorts of noises, and its head keeps burrowing into her arms. Mu Yan is suddenly amused by the woof woof sounds. She flicks the little chick's head. Do you remember that you're a chicken? It's fine if you learn to bark like a duck, but why do you also bark like a dog? The little chick's big eyes are brimming with tears. It blinks, but it won't fall. The ahog on its head stands up. Hearing Mu Yen scolding it, it tilts its head in grievance. Then it opens its mouth slightly and makes a hiccup sound. Mu Yen, after appeasing the 2 little guys, she examines her own body. Under this inspection, even if she was mentally prepared, she is still startled. What's going on? How can the Shin musician skills advance so much? She quickly looks up at the red-clothed youngster not far away. Qi Huang, didn't you say that 10 rounds of divine power can light up 1 star of a skill, 100 rounds of divine power can light up 2 stars, and the first round of divine power can light up 3 stars? But now, all my skills are above 3 stars. 7 ultimate sword spirits, graceful feather, rebirth, and dry stars, these skills have been directly upgraded to 4 stars. This isn't just 1 or 2 skills. It's all of them, a full 20 skills. Medicine, martial arts, alchemy, music, all of them are covered, all of them advanced. The amount of divine power consumed is simply incalculable. And this time, Mayin's harvest was far more than this. In just half a month, her cultivation had reached the crossing calamity stage. Her astral domain had advanced to the 4th rank after devouring a large amount of god refinement precipice. Her natal 7 absolute swords had truly merged with her sword heart and domain. At least in the domain of Xiuzhe, they were indestructible. Her Dantian and Sea of Consciousness were countless times larger than before. But Mu Yen faintly feels that the changes in her body aren't limited to just these. There seemed to be an even more terrifying and majestic power lingering around her, waiting for her to comprehend and explore it. After Mu Yen asks, she doesn't hear anyone answer for a long time. She thought that Qi Huang had been seriously injured in order to help her advance, so she hurriedly stepped forward. However, he found that this fellow was perfectly fine. He was pulling the grass on the ground while staring at the dried-up Milky Way in a daze. The reason why the Star River would dry up was naturally because the spiritual energy inside had been completely absorbed by Mu Yen, who was in the midst of advancing. However, as long as time passed, the spiritual power from the outside would re-enter the Tian Mo Qin space, and the Star River would be filled up again. Qi Xiao Huang, didn't you hear what I said? Mu Yen picks up a blade of grass that Qi Huang had pulled out, and pokes his face. Qi Huang abruptly comes back to his senses and glares at her. Chapter 30:10. 1 second to remember, Love Net, providing you with wonderful reading. Chi Huang, Jun Mayan, I'm telling you, this sage is your savior. It's already good enough that I didn't ask you to devote your life to me. You'd better show some respect to me. Mu Yan had just successfully advanced and hadn't yet stabilized her advancement, but she had already heard these words. The moment she opened her eyes, this guy fiercely pounced on her and tightly hugged her, his body trembling violently. Mu Yan knows that he's worried about her, and she remembers seeing him in unbearable pain during the advancement, but still insisting on it regardless of everything. Her heart softens. It's just that before she could say a few words of comfort, Chi Huang abruptly pushes her away, and begins to strut around arrogantly. The main point of the conversation is nothing more than that from now on, he is her savior. She can no longer consider herself a master, can't bully him, can't order him around, can't treat him like a child, and must unconditionally give him the crystal she earns. Mu Yan almost rolls her eyes at that time. In the end, she doesn't pay attention to this guy, and directly sits cross-legged, stabilizing the harvest of this advancement. All right, save your big shot, what are you thinking about? So engrossed. Didn't you hear what I'm saying? You're not secretly communicating with my little martial uncle again, are you? Chi Huang's face suddenly flushes red. No, there seems to be a bit of green in this red. Jun Mayan, don't fucking talk nonsense. Damn, I just casually said it, and you're really with little martial uncle. Wait, could it be that something happened to little martial uncle? Chi Huang waves his hand and angrily says, there's no such thing, who would secretly communicate with that pretty boy? Jun Mayan, you illiterate, don't you know how to use words? Speak, why are you bothering this sage? Mayan doesn't argue with this shop assistant, and repeats the question again. Hearing that, Chi Huang stares blankly. His pair of coquettish phoenix eyes are slowly dyed red, unblinkingly staring at Mayan. But the more he stares, the more shocked he becomes. Mayan rarely sees him with this kind of scarlet demon eyes, overflowing with evil aura. For a moment, her heart is somewhat scared. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Chi Huang closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, they've already recovered to that slightly evil black phoenix eyes. He doesn't answer Mayan's question, but points to the Tian Mo Chin. Use your Shin musician skills. Mu Yan didn't know what this guy was up to, so she could only do as he said. The sound of the zither was melodious, like high mountains and flowing water, like pearls and jade falling on a plate. This time, Mu Yan displayed the realm of stars. The realm of stars, in the past was very similar to floating like a dream. Weaving dreams, enriching the dreams, immersing people in them, and repeating the cycle. But at this moment, the realm of stars was activated. The entire space surrounding the Tian Mo Chin unexpectedly begins to change. Mountains, rivers, pavilions, terraces, and flower pavilions, simple and elegant, magnificent and magnificent. In the center of the courtyard, there were colorful flowers, grape trellises with ripe fruits hanging from them, and a swing that swayed gently in the wind. Seeing this scene, Little Phoenix and Little Chick rushed forward with a loud cry. The purple grapes were pecked off one by one, and the sweet juice splashed everywhere. The Little Phoenix ate with a satisfied face, not even noticing that its beautiful feathers were stained with purple juice. The Little Chick is squawking on the swing, and from time to time, a noisy noise reaches Mayan's ears. Mama, swing, swing. Huang Huang likes it. No one knows where the breeze came from, but it's accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, tossing the swing up high, and then heavily falling back down. The Little Chick lets out a crisp laugh. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 30:11. Qi Huang's expression is a little stupefied, and he looks a little silly. Mu Yan's mouth lifts, and the sound of the zither changes slightly. She sees a few little monkeys come out of nowhere, circling around Qi Huang and bowing with their hands clasped in front of him. There are also a few bold ones that directly climb up the red robe and hang on Qi Huang's neck. Qi Huang suddenly comes back to his senses. He flings away the little monkeys that have already hooked onto his robe. That real touch makes him stunned. Mu Yan smiles and stops playing the zither. In an instant, like a mirage on a bubble being punctured, it disappears without a trace. Little Enrich sits on the ground, crying. Little Phoenix smacks his lips, savoring the sweet grapes, still wanting more. Mu Yan looks at Qi Huang. How is it? Qi Huang is silent for a long time, then snorts. Have your Qi Si, Dantian, and Guan Yuan merged into one? Mu Yan nods. How to say it? In fact, ordinary people don't have Qi Si, Dantian, and Guan Yuan. Because when the spiritual vein is formed, the Qi Si disappears and becomes the Dantian. When the immortal bone is reconstructed, the Dantian also disappears and is replaced by the Guan Yuan, which can store immortal energy. It's just that ordinary people don't understand the difference between these three, and basically call them the Dantian. They only know that each person's Dantian can only store one system of energy. It's either internal force, or spiritual energy, or immortal energy, or even more supreme divine power. And with Mu Yan's advancement this time, the Qi Si and Guan Yuan, which originally stored internal force and immortal energy, disappeared, leaving only the Dantian. But in fact, her Dantian is completely different from the Dantian of ordinary cultivators. Because Mu Yan's Dantian has become extremely vast, almost boundless. And her Dantian can simultaneously store internal force, spiritual energy, and immortal energy, 3 different types of energy. No, it's not just 3. Because there is a 4th energy system in her body. That is, in the center of the Dantian, slowly rotating, magic core. This magic core is not much bigger than when it was condensed in the unclean abyss. But its color has become extremely deep and black. Looking inside with her divine sense, it looks like an obsidian, slowly circulating in her body, releasing pure devil energy. In other words, in her Dantian. It was Xian Qi, spiritual Qi, immortal Qi, and devil Qi. However, this was not the most unimaginable thing. The most incredible thing was that as long as she paid a certain price, she could even convert these 4 types of energy. After listening to Mayan's narration, even Qi Huang, who had always been stubborn and arrogant, couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth, unable to speak. After a long while, she gnashes her teeth and says, Jun Mayan, are you the illegitimate daughter of the heavenly Tao? On this point, even Mu Yan herself has some doubts. Otherwise, everyone only had one lifetime. How could she be reborn? Moreover, in this life, she has Xiao Bao and Di Mingju by her side, as well as so many relatives and close friends who won't leave her. Mu Yan pinched the void spirit ring between her fingers and gently turned it. A faint smile appeared on her face, and she could not help but lower her head to kiss it gently. Qi Huang couldn't bear to see her like this. He gritted his teeth and said, the world outside is about to be turned upside down. Why are you still dawdling and showing affection here? Mu Yan suddenly comes to her senses. How could she forget? Right now, the cultivators of the entire continent are probably searching for them, the unfettered 7 devils. Chapter 30:12. As for the chaotic tower, because it had forcefully overdrafted itself to protect over 10,000 people for her, it had already fallen silent for a short period of time. It no longer had the nearly invincible protective barrier it had before. If they were to find the peak of Phoenix Heaven mountain range, the consequences would be unimaginable. Qi Huang looks at Mayan from head to toe. With this advancement, all the spiritual veins in your body have been thoroughly refined into spotless veins. Apart from the original spine, your immortal bones have also been tempered into the bones of your four limbs. Your devil physique has actually reached the third stage realm. And this doesn't include the fusion of Qi Si, Dantian and Guan Yuan. The star domain has advanced to the fourth step. TSK. Fourth step domain. I'm sure there hasn't been anyone who has reached the world domain at such a young age, right? No wonder, even the Shin musician rank was forcibly promoted by this overflowing energy to the point of almost exploding. Mu Yan raises her eyebrows in confusion. Why did Qi Shaohuang use a tone of schadenfreude to count her gains this time? Wasn't it good to advance so many times? Qi Huang couldn't help but laugh out loud. Jun Mayan, don't you know how big of a commotion you make every time you advance? The greater the advancement, the greater the improvement, the more earth-shattering the commotion. Now, let alone the people of the cultivation continent knowing that you're in the heavenly Phoenix mountain range, I'm afraid even the cultivation continent has been affected. Don't you want to be discovered? It would be strange if you didn't get discovered. Mu Yan's complexion darkens, the blue veins on her forehead throbbing several times. She resists the urge to violently beat up this brat, and quickly leaves the space of the Tian Mo Qin. After all, he is my savior. Even if he is a bear, I can't beat him to death. He waits until Mu Yan's figure disappears in the space. Only then did Seven Brilliants sit down on the ground. Probably because of the heavenly body realms displayed just now, the Milky Way once again gathered glowing streams of water. Qi Huang lowered his head and looked at his blurry reflection in the water. He murmured, "You, who are you? What about me? Who am I?" The face in the water was in a trance, twisting and jumping, but the corners of the mouth seemed to be curled into a cold and evil smile. As soon as Mu Yan comes out of the space, she knows that the situation is more serious than she expected. A scorching heat wave assaulted his face. Standing in the chaotic tower, one could see the blazing flames outside. From time to time, there would be explosions of thunder and screams of cultivators. Mayan knits her brows. Her divine sense moves, and the Tian Mo Qin floats in front of her. She flicked her fingers lightly. An invisible barrier immediately enveloped the entire peak of the Phoenix Heaven mountain range. Large balls of spiritual fire continued to fall from the sky. Crackling sounds of explosions rang in his ears. But this time, all the attacks were blocked outside the barrier. Shin musician skill, divine hands weave the heavens, activated. When the crowd outside the chaotic pagoda saw this scene, they were stunned for a moment before turning their heads to look. Miss June. Miss June has come out. Madam Enchantress, are you all right? Great God, June, did you advance again? Are you at the crossing calamity stage? The youngest cultivator to reach the crossing calamity stage, unprecedented and unmatched. Mu Yan answered them with a smile. Only then did he look at Kong Yuanzhou, Zhou Daoyi, and the others who had just entered the pagoda. They were all in a sorry state, and there were obvious burn marks on Sun Yuanzhou's body. Seeing Mu Yan, their expressions are somewhat complicated. If one were to say that they still had doubts when they saw the 9 stars and the moon. But when Mu Yan stood in front of them at this moment, all their doubts turned into shock. Chapter 30:13. Crossing Calamity Stage. He was truly at the crossing calamity stage at the age of 20. The one who was most shocked was none other than Sun Yuanzhou. He was at the advanced stage of the tribulation realm and was ranked 8th on the green sky list. But at this moment, he couldn't see the depths of this girl in front of him. What did that mean? This means that Mayan's cultivation is already far higher than his. After the shock, Kong Yuanzhou's eyes revealed sincere joy and admiration. He raised his hands and bowed deeply to Mu Yan. Congratulations to Miss June for successfully advancing to the crossing tribulation stage. At this moment, he couldn't even say, worthy of being Jun Shang's fiancé, again. Because over the past year or so, Jun Mayan's achievements, the talent and strength that she has displayed. It was already impossible to conceal her radiance. She was no longer anyone's vassal, no one's fiancé. It was the one and only in this world, the unparalleled, fatally beautiful killing god, Jun Mayan. Mu Yan smiles. Instead of exchanging pleasantries with them, she directly asks about the current situation. They moved the demon slaughter hall to the foot of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Because this place is close to the god refining abyss, they don't dare to casually attack, so they chose to use the long-range attack magic treasure, Thunderbolt Flame Rod, supplemented by elite experts for a sneak attack. But at the same time, because they were close to the god refining abyss, their hands and feet were tied and they couldn't fight freely. As a result, Kong Yuanzhou, Zhou Daoyi, and the others were injured. Above the god refining abyss, the sky was forbidden. As long as a cultivator took a step out, they would fall straight down and turn into ashes, never to be reincarnated. Mu Yan walked out of the chaotic tower and gathered her spiritual energy into her ears. She immediately heard curses coming from the foot of the mountain. Unfettered seven devils, how dare you kill people from my shrouded sky mansion? I will make you pay with your blood. You have the guts to commit murder, but you don't have the guts to come out and fight. Unfettered seven devils, you bunch of cowards, get down here. Mu Yan raises an eyebrow. Did my senior brother and the others do something? As soon as he asked this, the teachers and students of the Soaring Dragon Academy and the villagers of Yuanwu village immediately laughed. They described Yun Ruhan and the others' feats over the past few days with great passion and emotion. Mu Yan couldn't help but smile. This sinister revenge style was more like third senior brother's style. Where are senior brother and the others? This Almighty and the others are still in seclusion. At this time, Mu Yan was also aware of the phenomenon that occurred when she advanced. Apart from the alignment of the 9 stars, there was even a drizzle. Not only could the rain heal people, but it could also help them advance. In fact, that day after Luo Yu and the others entered meditation, many students and mentors of the Dragon Ascension Academy sat cross-legged in the rain. However, when the silver moon set in the west and the drizzle disappeared, the others gradually woke up from their meditation. Only Yun Ruhan and the others showed no signs of waking up. Jun Amos, yeah, you don't need to worry. For our group, the later we wake up from meditation, the greater the benefits we will receive in the end. Vice School Head Chu was the last to wake up, but he has already advanced to leaving Aperture Pinnacle. Great God Yun and the others have already broken through to the leaving Aperture realm right from the start of their meditation, but they have yet to wake up. This means that they have gained far more than that. Mu Yan herself is a little dumbfounded. She didn't expect that the vision caused by her advancement this time would be even more sensational than when the spiritual veins were reconstructed in the Yanwu continent. However, to be able to let senior brother and the others have a breakthrough, that would be great. Suddenly, she realized that something was wrong. You said, 5. Chapter 30:14. Zhou Daoyi coughed lightly. That young Master Chu, he did not choose to meditate. Instead, he has been drawing. Third brother. Has he been drawing all this time? The space within the chaotic tower was not fixed. It could only have one main hall that could accommodate millions of people. It could also be divided into countless independent spaces. Within these spaces, there would be the battlefield of a powerful army, as well as the killing of swords and sabers. At that moment, the 6 members of the Xiaoyao sect were in one of the separate spaces. Yun Ruhan, Qin Zhou, Ling Yuma, Ling Yuxing, and Luo Yu were still sitting cross-legged. On the other hand, Chu Moli was sitting in front of the easel, quietly looking at the already completed 100 Ghosts Flying to the Moon painting. Sensing the ripples in space, Chu Moli smiled and said in a low voice, 9 stars linked to the moon, a sweet rain descending from the sky. Junior sister, how many more surprises do you have that I don't know about? Mu Yan goes behind him, glances at the easel, and immediately ridicules, what the hell is this? Third senior brother, can't you draw something sunny and healthy? Chu Moli raised his eyebrows, for example? Beauty painting. Pfft. Thinking of those models who were stripped naked and posed in a bewitching pose, Mayan couldn't hold back. Third senior brother, your body is overflowing with energy. Logically speaking, you should also enter meditation to advance. Have you been waiting here for me to come out? What do you want to tell me? Chu Moli turned his wheelchair and slowly turned around. His brows were elegant and gentle, and his smile was cheerful. When he looked up at people from his wheelchair, he looked a little sickly and shy. In short, he gave off a gentle and harmless feeling. But who would have thought that this fellow's nature was so black-bellied and perverted? The words that he often spat out were so harsh and infuriating. Just like now. He said slowly with such a deceptive expression, before you came, I thought that our Xiaoyao sect was full of simple-minded fools. In the end, Master still accepted someone with a bit of brains. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitches. Do you believe that eldest senior brother and the others will beat you up when they wake up? Believe it or not, I will skin you right now. Chu Moli smiled. However, this time, there seemed to be something else in his smile that wasn't there usually. Although he's a bit foolish, since he's already a fellow disciple of me, Chu Moli, I won't allow anyone to bully him. It's a pity that I can't do that with my current strength. Therefore, I can only rely on you, junior sister. I've already paved the road. Since they want to exterminate us, we will let them know what it means to be exterminated. After he finished explaining everything, Chu Moli, like the other 5 people, started to enter a meditative state. Mu Yan's current divine sense was no longer the same as it was in the past. She could clearly see that there was an energy ball gathered in the dantian of her 6 senior and junior brothers. As the energy balls revolved, strands of fluorescent light entered their limbs and bones, flowing through every inch of their veins. It was the fluorescent light released by the energy ball that rapidly transformed their bodies, allowing them to advance in a short period of time. This was actually similar to the 3 energy balls that Mu Yan had absorbed. However, the energy ball in Mu Yan's body was 100 times more powerful and overbearing than this. As for the energy balls in Yun Ruhan and the others' bodies, they had absorbed the rain from the 9 stars and moon. They were clean and pure, without any impurities. They also wouldn't cause any harm to the body. Looking at the size of the energy balls in the 6 people's dantian, they would wake up in about a day. Chapter 30:15. Judging from the size of the energy balls in their dantians, they would wake up in about a day. I wonder what level everyone's cultivation will advance to at that time. Great God June, great God June. A sharp and urgent voice comes from outside the door, interrupting Mayan's thoughts. Her figure flashed, and she appeared in the great hall of the first floor of the chaotic tower. The person who called out to her was a student of Dragon Soaring Academy. During these few hours, the thunderbolt fire rod continued to attack, but it couldn't break the sound wall created by Divine Hand's Weaver. Afterwards, no one knew if the demon-slaying alliance's people were at a loss of what to do or if they had other ideas, but there was no movement for a while. Thus, Sun Yuanzhou sent people who were good at concealment to the foot of the mountain to investigate. The person who had been sent was a student from the Dragon Ascension Academy. The student's expression was indignant, and his eyes were slightly red, as if he had seen something unbearable. Mu Yan's heart thumped. What happened? June Amos, yeah, please go and take a look. Those bastards, they're not human at all. Mu Yan was about to ask in detail, when suddenly, June Mayan, I know that you're relying on the refining god Abyss to hide in the Fengtian Mountains. But do you think you can hide forever? Why don't you listen to this voice and see if it makes you, the unfettered 7 demons, miss it? Chu Xinyan's voice, amplified by his spiritual energy, suddenly rang out. Then, she heard a familiar old voice. Ah! Mu Yan's face instantly darkens. Because she recognized that it was her master Shi Qing's voice. June Mayan, I'll count to 10. If you don't bring the chaotic tower down, the corpse you'll see in a while will not be Shi Qing's. At the foot of Mount Feng, the dense forest had been razed to the ground. The huge 100-calamity city sat on it, exuding a chilling aura. High-level spatial magic treasures could change their structure according to their owner's will. At that moment, the entire 100 Disaster City looked completely different from when it was in Divine Elephant City. The majestic hall was situated in the west, facing the heavenly Phoenix mountain range that was shrouded in ice and snow. Above the main entrance of the hall hung a huge plaque. 2 large characters were written on it with vigorous strokes, Demon Slayer. Below the demon-slaying palace was a plaza filled with pure spiritual qi. On both sides of the square, there were 2 long rows of carved chairs made from the 10,000 wool wood, a spiritual plant of the 8th grade. Looking into the distance, there were at least 100 people sitting on the carved chairs. Moreover, every single one of these people was the leader of a major sect or family in the Purple Cloud domain. At this moment, these people's expressions were either solemn, indignant, or eager. However, they all had the same goal and would cast their gazes towards the peak of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range from time to time. Fellow Taoists, please listen to me. In front of the demon-slaying palace, there were also 2 wooden chairs carved with 10,000 wheels. The Alliance Master of the Demon Extermination Alliance, Jing Tianyi, and the Deputy Alliance Master, Chu Xinyan, were sitting on the left and right respectively. Jing Tianyi was the one who had spoken. Today, I, Jing Tianyi, have invited all the clans and sects of the Purple Cloud world to gather here for one reason. That is to crusade against the unfettered 7 devils, annihilate the evil, and seek justice for all the fellow Taoists who died in the calamity, so as to return peace and prosperity to the world. The crimes of the unfettered 7 devils are too numerous to be recorded. I'm sure that all of you present have heard of it. Jing Tianyi's face revealed a bit of righteous indignation. Chapter 30:16. The Fusang country of the western continent had tens of thousands of cultivators, but they were all massacred in one night. After that, the Chongshan sect and the Killing Luo sect heard the commotion and went to investigate, but were almost killed by them. The head of the Chongshan sect, Li Anyang, died in this battle. The Shui family of the southern continent had no enmity with the unfettered 7 demons, but they killed their most talented successor. Even the head of the family, Shui Minglang, was severely injured, and his cultivation was unable to advance. As for the northern continent, Jing Tianyi closed his eyes, his face full of pain. Yun Ruhan of the unfettered 7 demons took the body of the only son of the Yun family, Yun Jifeng, and survived. After we found out about this, the unfettered 7 demons went all out and controlled the corpse puppets in the unclean abyss to massacre the northern continent. Even the great elder of Cleansing Le Pavilion, Xian Yuan, and the head of the Ning family died in the hands of these demons. As Jing Tianyi finished speaking, the people below immediately echoed loudly. This group of demons massacred the Fusang city, and even boasted shamelessly that one person massacred a city, only June Mayan. Not only did they not feel ashamed of doing such a heartless thing, they even took it as an honor. How hateful! They really deserve to be killed. Jing Tianyi raised his hand and gestured for the crowd to calm down. He was ranked 5th on the Green Sky list and had the backing of the Mula Pavilion. Naturally, he was a powerful cultivator in the Crossing Calamity stage. Thus, the demon-slaying hall quickly quieted down. Jing Tianyi continued, but this is not the most heartless of the unfettered 7 demons. Everyone knows that although the Soaring Dragon Academy is not the school of the 7 demons, it has always treated them well. It was the Deer Cry Banquet of the Soaring Dragon Academy that gave them the opportunity to stand out and become famous. Who knew that not only were the 7 not grateful, they even used demonic magic to bewitch the teachers and students of the Soaring Dragon Academy, making them listen to them and become the minions of the demons. They even obediently handed over the treasures, the Chaotic Pagoda and the 6 Stars Pagoda. In the end, Sorceress June Mayan precisely used the Chaotic Tower to destroy the God-refining precipice, causing the advantage that Arzean Realm's great families had established over the past 1,000 years to completely disappear. The originally stable and complete structure of the 4 realms has been destroyed, and the cultivation continent is likely to fall into endless disputes. And all of this was brought about by the unfettered 7 devils. Do you think such an evil monster should be killed? As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd below immediately responded in unison. He deserves to die. However, there were quite a few people who continued to sit in their seats in silence. They frowned and did not respond. Jing Tianyi glanced at these people and smiled. He raised his hand again to signal the crowd to be quiet before continuing. We've already found out the whereabouts of the unfettered 7 devils. They're currently hiding in the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range, waiting for an opportunity to slaughter our cultivators. I won't hide it from everyone. Recently, the disciples of my Cleansing La Pavilion, North Ding Ho Mansion, and He sect have all been killed by this group of demons. Whether it's for the common people's livelihood or for our own interests, we absolutely cannot allow these demons to continue to be ignored. Thus, during this period of time, after discussing with Marquis Chu, we've decided to establish a demon-slaying alliance. I, Jing Tianyi, have been elected as the alliance leader by fellow Taoists, and Marquis Chu as the deputy alliance leader. At this time when the demons are in power, we do not dare to remain aloof. Thus, today, we're holding the demon-slaying gathering under the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Chapter 30:17. I would like to invite everyone here to join the Demon Extermination Alliance and kill the unfettered 7 demons together, returning peace to the cultivation continent. What do you think? Jing Tianyi finished speaking. Xue Zhaoguang stood up first. My Xue family is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. Su Qinkuan did not pass on the responsibility. My Shrouded Heaven Palace is willing to follow the lead of the 2 alliance masters. Miao Yu chuckled, but his voice sounded like he was gnashing his teeth. I can't wait to skin those 7 little bastards and drink their blood. Even if Alliance Master Jing does not say it, my entire sect will not be able to coexist with them. Xiahou Zun coughed lightly and stood up as well. As the Emperor of the Southern Continent's Xiahou Empire and an expert ranked in the top 10 of the Azure Sky list, Xiahou Zun's status was naturally not something that others could compare to. So seeing him stand up, everyone immediately held their breaths and focused. Xiahou Zun smiled and said slowly, the unfettered 7 demons are so perverse, we naturally have to kill them. But there are some things that we should make clear in advance. The chaotic pagoda that June Mayan took away can help cultivators advance and train their fighting spirit. It is a treasure that is hard to find in 100 years. Alliance Master Jing, if we kill the unfettered 7 demons and take back the chaotic pagoda, how should we deal with this treasure? Xiahou Zun's words made many people's hearts jump uncontrollably. In the past year, the chaotic pagoda had been located in the divine elephant city and could be used as long as one paid a small amount of crystals. Many of the clans present had already realized how heaven-defying the chaotic pagoda was. Even though they couldn't keep such a treasure for themselves, they could still use it to train their disciples from time to time. That would be a great consolation. But who knew that the owner of the chaotic pagoda, Yi Liangchen, was actually June Mayan? She even took the chaotic pagoda away. How could these clans, who were used to benefiting from the chaotic pagoda, endure this? Jing Tianyi seemed to have already expected someone to ask this question. He smiled and said indifferently, "I have already thought about this. If we can kill the unfettered 7 demons, my Mula Pavilion will only need to take back the divine weapon, Cry of the 9 Heavens Cranes, Zither and the inherited secret technique. As for this treasure, the chaotic tower." He paused for a moment, and after whetting everyone's appetite, he continued in a leisurely manner, "The demon-slaying alliance will choose 4 elders from the north, south, east, west and west continents. In the future, the chaotic tower will be guarded by these 4 elders in turn, and it will be placed in the main cities of the 4 continents. As long as you are a disciple of an aristocratic family or a sect under my demon extermination alliance, you can enter the chaotic tower to cultivate. King Xiaohou is a man of virtue and prestige. Naturally, he is one of the 4 elders. I think that after we take back the chaotic tower, we should leave it in the southern continent for the first year. What do you think, Xiaohou?" Xiaohou Zun's eyes flashed with satisfaction. "Very well," he declared, "the Xiaohou Imperial House is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. I would like to see what kind of unfettered 7 devils have to be so arrogant." Xiaohou Zun's declaration immediately caused most of the people present to stand up in excitement. "My Killing Demons sect is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. My Spiritwood sect will also join the Demon Extermination Alliance. Count my Chu clan in as well." Jing Tianyi had already expected such an outcome. His expression was calm, as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. On the other hand, Chu Xinyan snorted coldly, his eyes drooping slightly. The chaotic tower was a treasure that he wanted to keep for himself. This Jing Tianyi really knew how to do favors. In just a few sentences, he had given away the treasure that should have belonged to him, and he had even won over the hearts of the people. Chapter 30:18. I'll let them be happy for a while. Once he obtains Mayan and cultivates to become an immortal, would he still have to worry about not being able to make these clowns bow down to him? Most of the people in the square stood up and expressed their views. Only then did Jing Tianyi turn to look at the people who had yet to get up. The people that Jing Tianyi had invited to participate in the demon slaughtering meet were all the top families and sects in the Purple Cloud domain. Because of the destruction of the God-refining precipice and the disappearance of the chaotic tower, the benefits of these clans and sects were affected. Thus, many people had joined the Demon Extermination Alliance under Jing Tianyi's persuasion before the Demon Extermination Conference. Those who had yet to speak were those who had been indifferent to Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan's invitation. For example, the Lan clan and the Su clan in the eastern continent. The Murong family and the Duan family of the southern continent. The Zhu family and Dragon Tiger sect in western peninsula. Chu Xinyan had already investigated these sects and clans. He knew that they had always been on good terms with Long Tang and the unfettered 7 devils. At this moment, seeing that they were all silent with sullen faces, he couldn't help but smile meaningfully. He stood up and said, "King Lan, Su family head, Murong family head. I heard that you have a close relationship with the unfettered 7 devils. Since so many fellow Taoists have gathered here today, I'm afraid it would be inexcusable if you don't take a stand, right?" Just as he finished speaking, the youth standing behind the Su family's patriarch seemed to be unable to bear it any longer. He sneered and said, "All of you, your words are even better than your singing. You say you want to annihilate evil and uphold justice, but actually, isn't it because the unfettered seven brothers have infringed upon your interests? Don't be rude in front of the elders." The head of the Su clan, Su Mingyu, reprimanded him with a tone that was neither too light nor too heavy. He then said lightly, "Marquis must be joking. The Su clan has never liked to fight for fame, and we have no interest in treasures or power. Do whatever you want with the Demon Extermination Alliance, but don't drag my Su family down with you." After saying that, Su Mingyu didn't wait for Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi to react. He stood up and was about to leave. The king of the Lan royal family, Lan Etienne, was even more disdainful than Su Mingyu. He only said one sentence: "The Lan royal family is not interested in bullying the younger generation." He stood up and left. Chu Xinyan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He had wanted to kill Lan Etienne for a long time. He had also coveted the Lan family empire's base soul pearl for a long time. It was a pity that Lan Etienne's cultivation level was too high. He was at the peak of the crossing calamity stage, and his ranking on the green sky roll was just below him. With the Lan clan empire as their backing, they really couldn't do anything to them easily. "Su family head, Lan family head, please wait," Jing Tianyi suddenly said. He still had a carefree smile on his face. But the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Before the two of you make a decision, you'd better think carefully. The establishment of the demon-slaying alliance this time is a major matter that concerns all the Shuja in the world. If any family withdraws from the alliance or allies with the evil, they will be opposing all the factions in the demon-slaying alliance. I, Jing Tianyi, am warning the two of you as the sect master of the Cleansing Joy Pavilion. As long as you step out of the Demon Slaughter Plaza today, all the doctors on the cultivation continent will no longer treat any of the disciples of the Lan clan or the Su clan. All the auxiliary masters will also refuse to fight alongside your descendants. Even so, the two of you still refuse to join the Demon Extermination Alliance." As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. Magnificent Medicine, a gold medal special agent who transmigrated to become the useless third daughter of the godly physician Manner. Watch how she controls the universe and her fate with the song "A Marriage in a Chaotic World" from the God Realm Hades chart. Chapter 30:19. All the doctors refused to treat, and all the assistants refused to fight side by side. This was a severe punishment. Anyone with a brain could think of this. Lan Tianyi and Su Mingyu's faces were extremely gloomy. Lan Tianyi's face darkened. "Are you threatening us? Lord Lan must be joking. How could I dare to threaten the Lan royal family?" Jing Tianyi's face regained its sanctimonious and hypocritical smile. "The entire continent is united to expel the demons. Even the Saintess of Cleansing Le Pavilion, who has always lived in seclusion, is willing to do her part. Lord Lan and Lord Su are dragging us down. Isn't this unforgivable?" Everyone couldn't help but look at the veiled girl sitting on the right. Her purple robe fluttered. Although half of her face was covered, one could still see her beauty and elegance. The person from the northern continent shouted, who said that Jun Mayan is the world's best assistant musician. "Don't you know that our saintess is young, but she is already a tribulation cultivator? Moreover, she is the only one in the world who can play the godly instrument, Snow Solitude. In terms of assistance, medical skills, and strength, Jun Mayan isn't even worthy of carrying our saintess' shoes." That's right. The unfettered seven demons dared to humiliate our saintess. Today, we will make them pay a painful price. In this world, more than half of the high-ranking doctors and assistants are disciples of my Cleansing Le Pavilion. Going against the Demon Extermination Alliance is the same as going against my Cleansing Le Pavilion. You'd better weigh this matter carefully. Su couldn't bear it anymore and gritted his teeth. You still have the nerve to say that the unfettered 7 demons are demons. With such coercion and temptation, aren't your actions even more disgusting than the evil devils? Jing Tianyi sneered, to deal with demons, we must use extreme methods. Fine, since you haven't thought it through, why don't we first invite the protagonist of today's demon-slaying assembly? Once all of you witness the true face of the unfettered 7 devils, you'll understand my good intentions at that time. Lord Lan, Lord Su, please go back and take a seat. Both Lan Tianyi and Su Mingyue had gloomy expressions. If they acted according to their hearts, they would have flown far away a long time ago and absolutely wouldn't be threatened and humiliated like this. However, they still had the Lan family empire and the Su family behind them. How could they not know how terrifying it was for a cultivator to be rejected by all the doctors and assistants? In the end, the two of them returned to their seats with sullen expressions. Even though Su narrowed his eyes coldly, he did not retort. That was because he didn't want to leave. He wanted to see Little Missy. If these people dared to bully Little Missy, he would stop them even if he had to risk his life. When Yi Yun, who was standing behind Hong Lan, saw this scene, she immediately laughed complacently. If I had known this would happen, wouldn't it have been fine if I had listened obediently from the beginning? He was so arrogant just now, but in the end, he still has to return with his tail between his legs. However, just as she finished her sentence, he felt a sharp pain on his face and heard a loud slap. Then, he was thrown to the ground. Why you dare hit me? Yi Yun crawled up from the ground in a sorry state and glared at Su Mingyue. Su Mingyue didn't even bother to look at her. He looked coldly at Jing Tianyi. Headmaster Jing, your daughter doesn't know any better. I, Su, will discipline her on your behalf. I believe you won't mind, right? Readers who want to participate in the book review and comments section activities, please remember to join the Book Friends group 190149989. Chapter 30-20. Jing Tianyi was furious. He was angry at his daughter, Yi Yun, for being useless. At the same time, he hated Su Mingyue for humiliating him in front of everyone. However, he had always been a shrewd person, so on the surface, he was still talking cheerfully and wittily. Master Su must be joking. My daughter being able to be disciplined by you is a blessing that she has cultivated for several lifetimes. Yi Yun, aren't you going to thank Patriarch Su? Yi Yun's face was already burning with pain, and it seemed to be swollen. When she heard that Jing Tianyi didn't support her and even wanted her to thank him, she couldn't help but be furious. She couldn't help but look at Bai Lan, hoping that the saintess would back her up. However, the reply she got was in Lin's cold voice. Didn't you hear what the headmaster said? Why aren't you thanking Patriarch Su? As for your crime of opening your mouth without permission, wait for Mu Le Pavilion to punish you. Yi Yun gnashed her teeth in hatred. That day outside the unclean abyss, she had used a hallucinatory technique to bewitch Jian Lan's mind, causing her to develop a bone-deep hatred towards the unfettered 7 sons, especially Jun Mayan. It was also because she was able to easily control Yuan Lan, and because her father was now the Alliance Master of the Demon Extermination Alliance and had full control over Cleansing Joy Pavilion, she began to look down on this saintess more and more. Yi Yun even had the thought of replacing him. Who would have thought that today, in front of so many people, his dignity would be ruthlessly trampled on by the holy maiden that he looked down upon? Naren, just you wait. After we destroy the unfettered 7 demons and get the inheritance of the godly musicians from Jun Mayan's hands, your saintess will be useless. At that time, I'll definitely return everything you've done to me and humiliate me 10-fold or 100-fold. Yi Yun gritted her teeth. She endured the humiliation and thanked Su Mingyue. In his heart, however, he hated these people to the bone. Seeing that the commotion had died down, Jing Tianyi looked at Chu Xinyan. The corners of Chu Xinyan's lips curled up into a smile. He slowly stood up from his seat and walked towards the center of the square. Everyone was wondering what he was going to do. There was a loud rumble. Then, a stone platform slowly rose from the center of the square. Everyone gasped at the sight of the stone platform. The surface of the stone platform was translucent, and one could faintly see the complicated runes carved with red lines. In the middle of the platform, there was a huge stone tablet. The words, "Evil Punishing Platform," were written in blood red. Of course, what shocked everyone was not this. Instead, thousands of people were kneeling around the stone tablet. Each of them was tied up by the immortal binding rope, and on their necks was an iron plate with the word, "Evil Demon," written on it. He was forced to lower his head, his body stiff and trembling. The evil punishing platform didn't look big, but the number of people it could hold was far more than a few thousand. Chu Xinyan's figure flashed and arrived on the stone platform. He looked at the people who were forced to kneel on the ground, unable to speak or move with interest. The corner of his mouth hooked up into a mocking smile. In the next moment, his hand lightly touched the stone tablet with the words, "Evil Punishing Platform," carved on it. In an instant, the stone tablet lit up with a blinding red light. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. All the people kneeling on the evil punishing platform seemed to have been struck by lightning. They wailed in pain, their bodies violently convulsing. They twisted their bodies with all their might, wanting to escape from the evil punishing platform. But their whole bodies seemed to be fixed by the iron plate, unable to move at all. They could only bear the pain of being struck by lightning over and over again, letting out mournful wails. Chapter 30-21. There were even some people who, because their cultivation was too low, directly lost control of their bowels under the stimulation of the electric current. The entire evil punishing platform emitted a stench that made people frown. Ha 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 ha. The expressions of most of the people on the square changed slightly. They could not bear it. Chu Xinyan, however, seemed to have seen something that made him feel refreshed. He could not help but laugh out loud. After laughing, his gaze swept across everyone present. One by one, he smiled evilly. The people kneeling on the evil punishing platform are all the lackeys of the 7 demons of freedom. Since they chose to help the evildoers and refuse to repent, they naturally have to accept the punishment. Don't you think so? Everyone here should be on the same side as the Fiend Extermination Alliance and kill the Fiend Devils together. However, there are some people who just like to pay lip service to the Fiend Extermination Alliance. Alliance leader Jing, could these people be considered the Fiend Devil's minions? After this matter is over, should I be like these demons and monsters, and go onto this evil extermination platform to receive the punishment of having both my body and soul destroyed? Jing Tianyi said with a smile, if they are the lackeys of the evil demons, no matter what punishment they receive, they naturally have only themselves to blame. No one will blame them. Moreover, all the disciples of this sect or clan will not be spared. On the square, the few families and sects that did not express their intention to join the Demon Extermination Alliance, except for the powerful ones like the Lan royal family and the Su family, were all pale, shocked and angry. Chu Xinyan did not look at them. Instead, he strolled to the front of a sloppily dressed old man. He suddenly pulled that coarse and messy hair, immediately revealing the old man's face. There was an iron stick on the back of the old man's neck, with the words Sinner Shurqin carved on the front. This iron stick was wide at the top and sharp at the bottom. Only by lowering one's head and not moving, the bottom of the stick would not hurt the human body. At this moment, Chu Xinyan pulled his hair, forcing him to raise his head. The bottom of the iron stick instantly pierced into his spine, causing Shurqin to let out a painful groan. Blood immediately dyed his dirty robe red. This scene made many people present show a look of pity. Shurqing looked like an old man who could not even withstand a gust of wind. At this moment, he had no strength left. Why use such cruel methods to torture him? Chu Xinyan sneered, "Do you know who this old man's true identity is? He is the sect leader of the Xiaoyao school, Shurqing. He is also the master of those 7 little devils." As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Many people already knew that the unfettered 7 devils came from a sect called the Unfettered Sect in the Azure Cloud world. Because the 7 of them were famous for a period of time, and later on, it was said that the continent's #1 swordsman, young Master Yun Shao, was also a disciple of the Carefree sect. Therefore, there was a period of time when people went to the Green Cloud world to look for the base of the Carefree sect. Countless people wanted to join. But in the end, they all failed to find anything. In the legendary Heavenly Jade Mountain Range, they only found a dilapidated thatched hut. There was a signboard of the Xiaoyao sect hanging on it, but it was so broken that even the word Xiaoyao had been eroded by the wind and frost. In that shabby thatched hut, no one could find any hermit expert. Occasionally, a sloppy old man reeking of alcohol would be seen staggering in and out of the place. How could such a shabby place belong to the Xiaoyao sect? How could such an old man be the master of the Xiaoyao 7, young Master Yun Zhao's senior brother? Chapter 30-22. Those who went to the Azure Cloud world all returned disappointed in the end. But at this moment, looking at the old man whose hair was being pulled by Chu Xinyan, they suddenly realized something. It turned out that the shabby thatched hut was really the base of the Xiaoyao school. So that drunkard old man was really the master of the Xiaoyao 7. But, how could this be possible? The spiritual qi surrounding the old man was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. It was extremely unstable. But even at his strongest, he was only at the nascent soul stage. Moreover, just by looking at his bone structure, he was only in his 50s. A Xiuzhe in his 50s. Theoretically, he should have the appearance of someone in his prime. However, the old man in front of him had white hair and a face full of wrinkles. It was obvious that he was nearing the end of his lifespan. This seemingly useless old man was actually the master of the unfettered 7 devils. How could they believe this? He heard the shocked whispers of the crowd below. Chu Xinyan smiled sinisterly and said, "Whether he is the master of those 7 little devils or not, won't we know once we try?" After he finished speaking, he raised his head to look at the peak of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range and suddenly used his spiritual energy to amplify his voice. "Jun Mayan, I know that you're relying on the refining god abyss to hide in the Fengtian mountains. I'll count to 10. If you guys don't bring the chaotic tower down, the corpse you'll see in a while will not be Shurqing's. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Demon Massacre Plaza was still quiet, not a single person could be seen. Chu Xinyan did not expect such a result. His eyes immediately surged with anger. He fiercely pulled Shurqing's head backward. The tip of the iron skewer almost pierced through Shurqing's entire back with a poochie sound. Shurqing let out a shrill scream. His eyes were filled with turbid tears, and he kept shouting, it hurts so much, this old man is going to die from the pain. Wah 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 wah. How many years has it been since this old man felt so much pain? Does it hurt?" Chu Xinyan gritted his teeth and said, "If it hurts, then remember it clearly. All of this was caused by your 7 good disciples. Since Jun Mayan is so heartless and doesn't intend to save you, then this hoe will send you to hell right now." Wait a minute. I think I can still be saved." Tears and snot were running down Shurqing's face, but he shouted, "My dear disciples are very respectful. I don't think they want to see an old man like me die. So, do you want to kill me a little later? Maybe they will come down after a while. Chu Xinyan sneered, this hoe has already counted to 10. It was Jun Mayan herself who gave up the opportunity to save you. If you want to blame someone, blame that demoness for being vicious and merciless, for deceiving her master and destroying her ancestors. After saying that, he raised his head and clasped the old man's neck, his 5 fingers abruptly tightening. Black qi instantly spread out from his fingertips. Ow, 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 wait a minute. Wait a little longer. Shi Qing pulled his hands and shouted at the top of his lungs, my disciple, they won't come down. I can take you to her. Chu Xinyan's movements paused, coldly looking at him. Shi Qing immediately spoke with confidence and assurance, think about it. You guys are hiding at the foot of this mountain and don't dare to attack. Isn't it because you're afraid of my disciples? These words made all the cultivators present angry. Who would be afraid of those 7 little beasts? If they weren't hiding above the refining god abyss, why would we be afraid? Chapter 30-23. The unfettered 7 devils are cunning. Who knows what traps are waiting for us up there? If we are accidentally thrown into the god-refining abyss, wouldn't we be sacrificing ourselves for nothing? Yes. It's not that we are afraid, but we will not allow our disciples to die for nothing. Shi Qing's mouth twitched, but he immediately changed his words. Good, good, good. You are not afraid of my disciple. You are afraid of the god-refining abyss. Anyway, no matter what you are afraid of, as long as you hold me hostage, even if there are attacks and traps, they will still fall on me. Don't you think so? Also, even if my disciples are unfilial, they won't dare to attack me, their master, right? You used me as a shield, and they were helpless. Didn't you capture them easily? Also, if this method doesn't work, I can also go undercover alone. You guys get some poison that can seal the throat, and I will put it in the food of my disciples. I guarantee that they will all bleed from their orifices. Even if they don't die, they will definitely not be able to resist. Shi Qing spoke in one breath, and immediately blinked his turbid eyes, looking at Chu Xinyan expectantly. Chu Xinyan looked at him with a sinister and suspicious expression. Many of the cultivators present already revealed looks of disdain. Su Zi couldn't help but grit his teeth and said, Shi Qing, are you really the master of the unfettered 7 devils? How can there be a master who would harm his disciple like this? The 11th prince of the Lan royal family, Lan Huahong, had been standing obediently behind Lan Etian. Even when his father was forced to join the Demon Extermination Alliance, he didn't say anything. At this moment, he couldn't help but shout angrily, Great God Jun and the others respected you so much, but I didn't expect you to be such a coward. Shi Qing said boldly and confidently, Isn't this all because of those unfilial disciples of mine? Each and every one of them left me in the lurch. Everyone looks out for themselves. What's wrong with me finding a way out for myself? Good. Since Daoist Shi is so sincere, why don't we let him live and proceed according to this plan? Jing Tianyi spoke to save Shi Qing's life. Shi Qing was immediately overjoyed. Master Jing Meng is indeed kind-hearted. Marquis Chu, did you hear that? Alliance Master Jing has already said that he wants to proceed according to my plan. Hurry up and help me get that damn stick out of my hand. Ouch, it really hurts. With a gloomy face, Chu Xinyan raised his hand. With a puffing sound, the iron plate was taken out from Shi Qing's body. Shi Qing, I'm warning you, you'd better not play any tricks. Otherwise, this marquis has plenty of ways to make you wish you were dead. Once Shi Qing regained his freedom, he immediately took out a pill from his sleeve and stuffed it into his mouth. He mumbled, "Marquis, don't worry. I still have a lot of things to do, how can I bear to die? Comfortable. My Yin-Yan's obedient disciple's medicine is really effective. By the way, when are we leaving? How about now?" When Chu Xinyan saw that he really didn't have any intention of cheating, he narrowed his eyes and selected 2 elite teams from the north-ranking Marquis army and the Horton tribe's Iron Armor Guards, preparing to attack the Phoenix Sky Mountain Range. Just as Shurqing had said. Even if Jun Mayan really advanced to the crossing tribulation stage, they would at most have some fear, but they really didn't need to be afraid. After all, there were already dozens of crossing tribulation cultivators present. Not to mention the countless leaving body cultivators, the thousands of Iron Armor Guards, and the north-ranking Marquis army. Chapter 30-24. Only the refining god Abyss, a natural stronghold, is what they are truly afraid of. Even someone as strong as Chu Xinyan does not dare to say that he will fight against Mayan at the peak of the Fengtian mountain range. If he is not careful, he will be sent flying to the refining god Abyss, and ultimately be powerless to resist, not even leaving behind a corpse. Shurqing's method can be considered as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If the unfettered 7 demons are afraid, they will hesitate. In the ever-changing battle situation, a moment of hesitation will cost them their lives. If the unfettered 7 demons do not have the slightest bit of apprehension and directly kill Shurqing, then their act of deceiving their master and exterminating their ancestors will be publicly announced in front of everyone. At that time, if Lan Etienne, Su Mingyue, and Murong Yen still want to protect the unfettered 7 demons, it would be tantamount to becoming the enemy of the whole world. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan can understand this point. Many of the people present can also understand this. This is also the reason why Su Zi and Lan Huahong are so angry. Because of Shurqing's betrayal and surrender, it is tantamount to pushing the unfettered 7 demons to eternal damnation. And Shurqing, the main culprit, seems as if nothing has happened. While swallowing the medicine that Mayan gave him, he shakily prepares to leave the evil punishing platform, heading towards the direction where Chu Xinyan has gathered his troops. "I will never allow you to frame the unfettered 7 demons." A roar suddenly comes from the evil punishing platform. Soon after, a figure, with blood spurting out, recklessly crashes towards Shurqing. And this first figure that rushes out seems to have lit a fuse. Immediately after, angry roars are heard one after another. Dozens of figures, like the first person, rush over from all directions of the evil punishing platform, crashing towards Shurqing. Shurqing still has a medicine in his mouth. At this moment, his expression is lifeless and his body is stiff, as if he is completely dumbfounded. When the person is right in front of him, he yells at the top of his lungs, "Help! Courting death!" Chu Xinyan coldly snorts. He does not even move, he just raises his hand. Crackling sounds can be heard from the evil punishing platform. Immediately after, the figures of those who are crashing towards Shurqing violently twitch in the air, falling straight down. From their bodies, one could even smell the burnt smell of being roasted by lightning. Shurqing looked at the charred corpses, on the ground, and his hands, which were hidden in his sleeves, unconsciously clenched. These charred corpses were mostly children, students of the Starry School. Some of them were old men who were not much younger than him. Even Shurqing, who had always lived in seclusion, knew one of them. However, he did not expect it at all. It was Su Qing from the whole unitary sect. He was the one who took the lead in robbing the Xiaoyao sect. He's also the one who's been tormented by Mayan and the others, hovering between life and death. Later on, the whole Guai sect was almost exterminated, and the one who became his servant was him. Why now? But, suddenly, the hem of Shurqing's clothes was grabbed by someone. Su Qing raised his head and glared at him with a pair of scarlet eyes. He seemed to want to shout at the top of his lungs, but all that came out were broken sounds. Why? Senior sure, you are. Master, how could you betray Xiaoyao, bang. Before Su Qing could finish his words, he was kicked out, crashing heavily into the stone tablet. The stone tablet released lightning, causing Su Qing to let out another shrill scream, and then he completely fainted. Chu Xinyan stepped on the head of one of the charred corpses. Chapter 30-25. With a clang, the blade that was in his mouth drops, cutting the corner of his lips. Blood immediately flows out. It was this person who was the first to rush at Shi Qing, triggering the subsequent chain reaction. Shi Qing had almost lost his life, and their brilliant plan had almost been foiled. Chu Xinyan looks down at the youth who was scorched black by the lightning attack of the evil punishing platform. His cold and disdainful gaze is like he's looking at the most lowly ant. You bunch of trash want to ruin this Marquis's plan. I originally wanted to wait for Jun Mayan to come down, then torture you to death in front of her. But since you're courting death, then this Marquis will let you experience what hell is. Wang He, come up. Very quickly, an old man with white hair and beard, who is almost the same age as Shi Qing, hurriedly walks up the evil punishing platform. This person is called Wang He, Chu Xinyan's personal doctor in the North Ding Ho Fu. He also knows almost all of Chu Xinyan's secrets. May I ask, Marquis, what instructions do you have? Wang He's voice is still trembling, afraid that Chu Xinyan will kill him if he doesn't get what he wants. But hearing Chu Xinyan's request, he breathes a long sigh of relief. Didn't you tell this Marquis a few days ago that you've researched a medicine that can peel off a person's skin? Since there's a chance today, let's try it on these demons and monsters. Wang He nods again and again, looking at the few people who no longer have the strength to resist. His eyes reveal excitement. Marquis, rest assured, this lowly one will definitely make you satisfied. I've mixed the silver flower in this medicine. The juice of this flower can help the skin and flesh to quickly separate. This subordinate only needs to open a hole on their heads, mix the medicine into water, and pour it in through the hole. At that time, that bloody, living body will be squeezed out of the skin little by little. When the whole skin comes out, the body will still be full of vigor, able to run and jump. That skin is guaranteed to be 100 times more complete than the one that Elder Lu Yu used to cut off. When the cultivators in the square hear this detailed description, they all feel their stomachs turning upside down. At this time, Wang He has already walked to Chu Xinyan's side, carefully picking up the person at his feet. A knife had appeared in his hand, and he was currently slashing at the man's head. Sheng little fatty. Someone on the evil punishing platform let out a mournful cry, and was about to rush over without a care for anything else. Let go of Zheng little fatty. If you have anything to say, come at me. However, before he could endure the pain of the metal skewer stabbing into his back and rush out. Crackling sounds rang out, and everyone on the evil punishing platform let out miserable cries. They spat out blood and swayed unsteadily. As for Wang He was all smiles as he opened a hole on Jing Xiaopeng's head with shining eyes. He took out a small bottle and opened the lid. Immediately, a pungent smell filled the air. Don't move around. Wang He comforted him with a gruff voice. This is the first time I'm using this medicine. I haven't even named it yet. If you accidentally fall in the wrong position, your body will jump out of your eye, and that won't be perfect. As he spoke, he raised his hand and poked the metal skewer on Zheng Little Fatty's back into his body. After making sure that Jing Xiaopeng did not have any strength to resist, he carefully poured the medicine on his head. You're going too far. Lan Huahong was young and impetuous. He could no longer hold back and wanted to rush out. But Lan Etienne held him back. Chapter 30-26. On the other side, Su Qingling is also firmly holding back Su Zi, who wants to rush forward. Zi, can't you see it? This is Chu Xinyan killing the chicken to warn the monkeys, to show us. Su Qingling's face is gloomy, coldly sweeping her eyes around, the North Dingho's army and the Iron Guards. It is reasonable to say that there are far more than these. Tell me, where are the rest of them now? Su Zi has always been very smart. With Su Qingling's pointers, he immediately understood something. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan had already quietly dispatched the North Dingho's army and the Iron Guards to their families' residence when they invited the experts from the various families. Once they act blindly without thinking, or refuse to join the demon-slaying alliance no matter what, then the first to suffer would be the children of their family. So despicable. Su Zi's complexion is pale. He grits his teeth, but he is powerless. These beasts still have the nerve to say that little sister is a demon. I think they are 100 times more greedy and ruthless than a demon. Su Qingling sighs softly. In fact, His Majesty and my Su family had already noticed the unusual movements of the North Dingho mansion more than 10 years ago. In the past, that Chu Xinyan always put on a dignified appearance, and no one knows how many shady deals he has done in secret. Unfortunately, we can't even protect ourselves now. I'm afraid that Miss June and the others will end up. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan are too smart. They not only exaggerated the Xiaoyao Seven's gratitudes and grudges into a wanton massacre of demons. They also tied the interests of the entire Xianjia with the life and death of the Xiaoyao Seven. Adding on to this thunderous deterrence, who in the world would dare to resist? Who would dare to stand on the side of the Xiaoyao Seven? Besieged on all sides, isolated and without help, this is the situation of Mayan and the others. These talented youths are still so young, so full of vigor, with limitless prospects. But they will forever be strangled by the schemes of these old farts, consigned to eternal damnation. Su Qingling closes her eyes, concealing the sorrow in them. She didn't see that his younger brother's eyes are bursting with a blood-red light, hot and determined, as if he has made some kind of decision. On the punishing evil platform. As Wang He poured the medicine into Xing Xiaopeng's head, Xing Xiaopeng's body convulsed violently. Even when he was electrocuted and pierced by the metal skewers, he didn't make a single sound. But now, he couldn't bear it any longer and let out a heart-wrenching scream. Then, the crowd saw a blood-red meatball scuttling around the top of the head, trying to drill out. Wang He was so excited to see this scene that he nearly danced with joy. Marquis, look, didn't this subordinate say that this medicine is useful? Ha ha ha. Chu Xinyan looked at this scene with great interest. His gaze swept across the frightened faces of the people in the square and his lips curved. Not bad. When we return, this Marquis will reward you. To deal with these unrepentant demonic minions, we have to use this kind of thunderous method to let them know that we're in the wrong. How tragic are the consequences of helping the unfettered seven devils. Sheng little fatty. Bastard. You bastards. You guys are the demons. What did Jing little fatty do wrong? Are you going to do this to him? Shi Qing, who was at the side, had clenched his fists so hard that his palms were already bleeding. He could only clench his teeth so hard that his gums were bleeding. Only then could he stop himself from rushing out. But seeing that innocent youth being tortured to the point where there wasn't a single piece of skin left on his body. Chapter 30-27. That blood-red lump of meat grew bigger and bigger, and came out of the wound faster and faster. He finally could not bear it any longer. However, it was also at this time. A gust of wind swept through the air. Before everyone could react to what was happening, they felt a huge black shadow suddenly appear above their heads, and then it got closer and closer. Chu Xinyan's complexion changed greatly. Without thinking, he mobilized his divine sense to control the Sumera mustard seed space, 100 Disaster City. Under his control, the entire 100 Disaster City rapidly changed. The demon-slaying square and the demon-slaying hall suddenly became bigger. And the evil punishing platform in the center sank down, wanting to continue hiding in the depths of the ground like before. However, Chu Xinyan's movements were a step too late. There was a loud rumbling sound. Before he could completely control the 100 Disaster City, a huge tower fell in the center of the demon-slaying square. Smoke and dust filled the air, gravel flew everywhere. Chu Xinyan, who was connected to the 100 Disaster City, felt as if his internal organs had been ruthlessly hit. A trace of blood spilled out from the corner of his mouth. He did not bother to wipe it off, but fiercely glared at the suddenly falling tower. The chaotic tower. Yes, only the chaotic pagoda could shatter his high-grade virtual interspatial space. At this time, the chaotic tower directly smashed into the center of the square. Half of the evil punishing platform was crushed by the tower. The other half was already almost broken. On the transparent stone platform, the originally complicated but orderly rune lines had long since been broken into pieces. The stone tablet with evil punishing platform written on it was smashed to smithereens. His 100 Calamity City, his only divine-level Sumera mustard seed magic treasure, had been reduced to such a state. Chu Xinyan was about to explode with anger. He was about to angrily shout for Jun Mayan to come out. Then he heard someone shout from below, "Ah, it's Jun Mayan." Heavens, so Jun Mayan is actually so beautiful. The alluring killing god is truly devastatingly beautiful. Chu Xinyan suddenly looked up as if he felt something. What he saw was the bright morning sun that had already risen into the sky. Then, the white-clothed girl standing at the top of the tower, looking down at everyone from above, slowly came into view. The warm morning sunlight seemed to coat the girl with a layer of orange light. Her skin, which was as delicate as porcelain, seemed transparent in the halo. That pair of clear and beautiful eyes were filled with a lazy and devilish smile at this moment, glistening like rippling waves. It was as if the beauty of the mountains and rivers, as well as the vast universe, were contained within it. At the same time, he seemed to be high above, like a monarch looking down on the world, looking down on everything in the world. Peerless and unparalleled in the world. As for these people who were plotting against them, they were like ants that they didn't even put in their eyes. Chu Xinyan's heart thumped. He hurriedly suppressed the inexplicable fear in his heart. Jing Tianyi spoke in a steady voice, "Ha, Miss June is finally willing to grace us with her presence. I thought that all of you were going to hide at the top of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range for the rest of your lives." At the top of the chaotic tower, a white-robed girl was currently carrying a badly mutilated person in her hands. It was little Fatty Zhang. Mayan lowered her head to look at little Fatty Zhang, whose body couldn't stop spasming. She promptly took out an elixir from the space and fed it to him. Her eyes showed remorse, and she said in a low voice, "I'm sorry, I came late." She naturally didn't come late on purpose. Rather, when Chu Xinyan gave her a time limit, he simply didn't think that the chaotic tower couldn't be moved at will. Chapter 30-28. And leaving the chaotic tower at the peak of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range was definitely not feasible. Because without Mu Yan, the chaotic tower would not have any defensive capabilities. Yun Ruhan and the other 5 were currently in seclusion within the chaotic tower. If they were disturbed, they might go berserk. Furthermore, the chaotic tower was right beside the god-refining abyss. If Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi sent people to sneak up the mountain to attack the chaotic tower, at that time, how many people would fall into the god-refining abyss? But Mu Yan only discovered it when Servant 1 tried to move the chaotic tower. As long as the chaotic tower was placed somewhere, it would take root and fuse with the energy of all living beings under it. Last time, it was at the god-refining precipice in Divine Elephant City. This time, it was the entire Heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Mu Yan's consciousness had just fused with the chaotic tower and was about to order it to move when she was almost swept into a storm. At this moment, it was impossible for him to extricate himself from this situation. So she could only endure the anxiety and pain and forcefully pull the chaotic tower out of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Even if she did not care about the damage to her soul, even if she used her fastest speed. But in the end, it was because of this delay that Jing Xiaopeng and the rest suffered irreversible damage. If she had known that the chaotic tower was so hard to move, she would have definitely let Kong Yuanzhou and the rest come down first to delay for a while. After swallowing the pill, Jing Xiaopeng stopped moaning, but the wound on his head had not healed. The mass of flesh and blood was still squirming outwards. Jing Xiaopeng's hands and legs were already shriveled, as if his flesh and blood had been sucked out. But his facial features were still undamaged. Only a lump of flesh kept moving out of the wound on his head. For a moment, it was as if there was a ball of blood on his head. It was incomparably shocking. It's useless. Wang He's excited and frightened voice came from the side. That pill has already changed every inch of his flesh and bones. Even if you let him take the king pill, the effect of the pill, it will not be able to reach the skin that is starting to separate. He is destined to become a skinless bloody person. Moreover, he will still be able to live perfectly fine. Ha! My medicine will become unique in the world. In the future, whoever the Marquis wants to interrogate, you just have to use this medicine. Who can endure it? Who in the world can endure it? Ha. Mayan slowly raises her head, her gaze calmly falling on his face. Wang He shuddered. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He screamed as he scrambled to escape from the top of the tower. However, no matter how he tried to climb, jump, or leap, his body seemed to be stuck to the top of the chaotic tower, unable to escape. Wang He was finally afraid. His face was covered in snot and tears as he begged, "Great God Jun, please spare my life. Spare my life. I'm just following orders, please don't kill me." Mu Yan coldly looks at him. Where is the antidote? No antidote. Seeing Mu Yan take out the Tian Mo Qin, Wang He immediately screams, "I'm serious, there really is no antidote. I just came up with this thing and haven't tested it on humans yet. I really don't know how to solve it. What's more, he has already become like this. Even if there's an antidote, it's definitely too late." Great God Jun, if you're interested in this medicine, this lowly one can concoct it for you, as long as you spare this lowly one's life. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.